Welcome to the dance section of the 14th Annual Conference of Europe's Sciences and Arts Leaders and Scholars. It's about people. I'm Professor Dr. Svebor Sečak, the Dean of the Alma Mater Europaea Dance Academy and a regular member of the European Academy of Sciences and Arts. I will be the moderator of today's two sessions of the dance section. Our Dance Academy is a part of the Alma Mater Europaea University that is affiliated and is under the umbrella of the European Academy of Sciences and Arts that together with the World Academy of Art and Science jointly organize this scientific conference. So, let me just switch on this. So, the scientific academic approach is of great importance for comprehending new tendencies in dance education, ballet art, and dance in a generic sense. Dance art is studied from many analytical perspectives that surpass the fundamental dance methodologies, technical skills, and the linear dance history, but include anthropological, philosophical, semiotic, socio-political, feminist, and gender perspectives, as well as kinesiology, anatomy, and psychology in the context of safe practice. And in a wider sense, dance studies refer to the relation between education, research, organization, creation, production, and reflection. Today, dance is viewed not just as an art form, but as diverse cultural practice which takes place in a variety of contexts. Such an expanded perspective includes looking at dance as social activity, politics, ritual and religion, physical education, sport, therapy, recreation and popular entertainment, and is taught in different contexts: vocational, artistic schools, in the curriculum as part of general education, as an extension of the curriculum in the form of extracurricular activities, in private schools and institutions, and as dance in the community, the so-called community dance. In recent dance science, there is a growing interest for non-theatrical and non-Western dance forms. Such an approach raised numerous issues, including the distinction between art and culture. Contemporary critique and postmodern philosophy criticize Western tradition of high art, such as opera, ballet, fine art, classical music, theater, and literature as elitist, patriarchal, and culturally exclusive. This does not mean that Western theater dance is less significant, but points out that it is only one of the many dance traditions and is not more worthy than the others. In that sense, regardless of the connection with the European Renaissance courts and despite the traditional status of high art, ballet can equally be looked at as a form of ethnic dance. The term ethnic dance relates to a dance form of a particular group of people who share common ethnic, linguistic, and cultural ties. Therefore, this term is not pejorative when used for ballet, because ballet reflects cultural traditions from which it developed. Classical ballet is a product of the Western world, and it is a dance form developed by Caucasians who speak Indo-European languages and share common European traditions. Its terminology is in French, and the themes of most canonical ballet works lean on European cultural and religious heritage that shares aesthetical and other values. If the 19th century was a period of national schools such as the Italian, French, Danish, and Russian, which were later on joined by the British and the American, the 20th century is a century of national ballet ensembles. Concurrently, from the end of the 19th century, modern dance paved its own developmental line, at the beginning as a revolt against ballet's strict forms, and eventually influencing and intertwining with the historical line of ballet. By the end of the 20th century, numerous socio-political, philosophical, and artistic changes occurred under the influence of postmodernism and globalization. The repertoire became more and more eclectic. New interpretations of canonical ballet works were influenced by the concept of intertextuality. There was a hybridization of genres, a mixture of diverse cultural influences, and the national companies increasingly turned into transnational. Additionally, in the 21st century, digitalization is increasingly present in new dance works, while recently artificial intelligence became a new factor to be considered in the future. The synthesis of genres that connects ballet and contemporary dance with other forms of dance from different cultures shows how contemporary art treats ballet and other forms of dance in an equal manner, regardless of their roots. This is one of the reasons why an academic and scientific approach to dance studies is necessary, because potentially it can secure a double result: preservation of autochthonic cultures and traditions, and opening to new tendencies and philosophies as an integrative factor worldwide. This is why the first part of today's dance section is titled Dance as Culture in Contemporary Multicultural Society. At our academy, we think that tertiary education for dance and ballet pedagogues who work with children should be compulsory. First of all, because of safe practice. Likewise, a dancer, critic, and choreographer who wishes to evolve, beside training, needs theoretical and contextual knowledge. It is important to strengthen the educational vertical from kindergarten to university. Therefore, the second part of today's dance section is titled Ballet Pedagogy and Somatic Practices. So, let us proceed to the first part of our today's section. Due to unfortunate and unforeseen circumstances, we had to slightly modify the order of presenters. So our first participant will be Dr. Simona Noja-Nebila with her presentation titled Reconfiguring Dance Between Analytic Philosophy and Phenomenology. Good morning, Simona. Would you be so kind and tell us a few words about yourself, present yourself before you continue and proceed with the presentation of your paper. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much, Svebo. Thank you very much, everybody, for understanding. And my timing today had to be brought at this moment of the conference. Thank you for your patience and understanding. My name is Simona Noja-Nebila. I am a former principal dancer. I'm in the ballet world already 40 years. Now, with every conference that I say, I must say over 40 years now. I am very grateful to Svebo for not only for his knowledge as a ballet dancer, but also for what he brings to the academic world. And the fact that these conferences are taking place, and this is, I have done I've been part of a couple of conferences, and each one has been an enrichment for me. So I'm coming to the academic world from the practice for a long time, practicing dance and ballet. And of course, during all this time, some questions arise, and I wanted to study them a little bit deeper and to understand them better in order to give to the next generations of dancers, professional dancers or hobby dancers, as to their teachers, a better, let's say, a better knowledge that went through my own praxis and through my own reflection. And this is the reason why today, and I'm gonna try to share now the screen with you, I'm gonna talk. Please let me know if you can see it. Yes, I hope so.
Yes, we can.
Yes. So that's why the theme of today my presentation is reconfiguring dance between analytic philosophy and phenomenology. What does it mean? Why did I come to this decision, to this theme? Yeah, because studying dance and the problematics of dance, I tried really to go to the essence of the problems, to identify the roots of the problem. And of course, this is a process that I'm going to do my lifelong, but I came for the time being to the discovery that the situation we are confronting ourselves in dance, and especially in ballet, but now I'm going to talk about dance in generally, is more that we just want to see a part of the truth, and to interpret that part of the truth as the whole truth. And in this process, I wrote, so after my doctoral thesis, I wrote also a manual, which is called, just a moment, yes. So it's written in Romanian because it's for the students for the Romanian languages, but I'm going to translate it in English as well. And it's the Dance Theory and Aesthetics and Introduction, because of course, it's just a very small part of a very big theme. And this book, this manual, and in this manual is exactly the theme, represented the theme of my presentation today. That's why I want to say a couple of words first about the manual that I wrote, about the textbook. And I thought that it's a good idea to have a textbook regarding the theme of dance as an autonomous discipline, yeah, and a form of embodied language. We all talk about that, and we all consider it necessary, but I just wanted to know a little bit more from my side in order to share with the dance community. And in this book, I'm also putting together some conceptual tools for understanding dance not as an art, not only as an art, as Svebo mentioned before, but also, and from the cultural point of view, but also as a cognitive phenomenon. And I think, and I came upon the fact that a dialogue between a very deep roots of this antagonism could be, so to be conscious of this problematic at a deeper level, at a philosophical level, could bring us more aware of the problematic and also of the possible solutions. And I think that this dialogue between, and I'm going to explain now what is analytic and what is continental philosophy, I think it's supporting a coherent thinking about movement as a source of meaning generally, if it's ballet or if there are all other different types of dance. Why? Because dance, against, even if it's so long, and we are all dancing from the primitive times, and we all communicate through dance from very, very ancient times, still today remained a marginal domain in the theory and philosophy of art. And why? I asked myself, why is this like that? And I came upon of the things that I discovered that have been said before, of course. First of all, it's because dance is an ephemeral nature. Then it's how the dance is produced, how is made of, and how it's received. So unlike painting and sculpture or architecture, which are very stable materials, dance is an art of lived presence. And its essence is in this, remains and resides in the live performance. And with the live performance, it vanishes everything. When the dance is done, it's gone in this authentic form. Of course, we have memories, we have video recordings, but they are all secondary representations of what the work itself is. Yeah, and we have the systems of choreographic notations, which of course help a lot, but they are not similar, they are not equal with the moment of dance itself. And because of this ephemerality of dance, it's also the difficulty for the art critics and for the theory of dance, which have been traditionally been orientated only about the analysis of the stable and tangible objects. So what I do believe is that in the theory of dance, when we talk about the theory of dance, we should not only focus on the final product, performance, competition, everything that you see at the moment that the dance is produced, is presented, but we should, in the theory of dance, we should concentrate also on the processes and more or less, or deeper, better said, on the processual nature of what this knowledge, how the knowledge is generated and how the knowledge is produced, what we call embodied experiences, because this is what we do in dance, yeah? It's a lot of knowledge that we embody all the time in every second of the dance. And of course, to concentrate ourselves as well on the relational dynamics between performance and audience. And while music has the score and the theater has the dramatic text and the literature has the written work, dance lacks actually a universally operative and exhausting form of inscription. We have Laban, of course, but this system of notation or Benesch or other systems that we have cannot capture exactly the dynamics, the emotional resonance, the qualitative texture of movements in the same way as the live performance. So we are very grateful that we have these notation systems and the videos and the critics, but we have to realize that the real truth is that they cannot be exactly as the live performance. So that's why for the critics, it's very difficult to talk about that, about this, again, ephemerality of dance, because the critics separate the art form and the performance. So this is the fundamental distinction in the classical art theory. And in case of dance, this is impossible. So the next step that we are confronted in perceiving dance and understanding dance, and from here are the problems that we inherit, is also the fact that dance is not ephemeral, but it's also interdisciplinary. So it's very difficult to isolate dance as a pure object of academic study, because it relies on the music and incorporates more or less the scenography, the lighting, the costume, the theater elements, and this hybridity of what dance is about. It makes dance in the same way fascinating and approachable, but also difficult to isolate as a pure object of academic study and with a certain separate domain. And the absence of a well-documented canonical tradition and of major theoretical figures in dance makes it even more difficult. So we have, for instance, Hegel in aesthetics, we have Adorno in music, and Hegel provided aesthetics with a systematic philosophical framework, and Adorno elevated music to the status of a medium for historical and social knowledge. Dance has remained, unfortunately, theoretically underrepresented. And of course, the interest of dance to be recognized, to get to an epistemological, a knowledge or a theoretical legitimacy was there, was already starting the 19th century, maybe even earlier. There were these intentions there, but they were not really followed or not really deeply followed. So we have starting with the 19th century, we have this dichotomy between analytic philosophy, Anglo-American, and it based on the conceptual inquiry, and continental philosophy, European philosophy, which of course brings in the center the phenomenological and experiential approaches. And this dual foundation in the interpretation of philosophy that has an effect on all the culture, music, theater, architecture, all the departments of culture, this dual foundation has an importance, has a great importance, and which is recognized in other domains. It's less recognized in dance. And of course, it's less recognized in the artistic part, and then in the pedagogic, and then, of course, in the research. So we inherit actually some missing interests that already the 19th century dedicated to the arts. So there is a big potential. So this is what I want to underline. There is a very big potential there. And if we integrate both perspectives, if we are aware of them, when one can activate also in the dance world, in the dance community, and we definitely need it today in order to get dance to the value dance deserves, to integrate these two philosophical directions that would reflect an academic discourse on dance. And in this way, dance can be positioned along other art forms that have already achieved, actually, theoretical legitimacy. So, of course, in this change, if we want to approach this change from more perspective, from an Anglo-American perspective and European perspective, of course, there are other perspectives. You will say, yeah, but we have also Indian dance and we have African dance. Absolutely correct. But we are now in Europe, and as a main point, we have to focus on what we here know and what we practice. Would we be in India, we would focus on something else. That's the reason why I mentioned only these two dimensions. So if we follow that thought, we need to move beyond the constraints of the classical framework, which was long established and largely unchallenged, and to look for the necessity of an epistemological shift that reconfigures the space in which dance manifests. So it's at the deep level, I think we should start, and not just try to figure it out at the more superficial levels. So this shift would entail a critical reconsideration of the relationships among practices, methods, and creative processes. And this would imply that we have to make a transition from the frame, static one, to the field, to the open field. And this transition, after my research, I think it's not only necessary from the methodology point of view, but it starts to be a necessity from the theoretical point of view, because we have to make this, from the dance world that we know dance, practice, and theory together, and we experience dance, to try to move from a structural, hierarchical model, what we have for the time being, towards a rhizomatic, open, and process-orientated one. I know this is a very deep theme that I cannot cover it now in these minutes. I just want to mention the conclusion I came about the necessity of having some tradition in this sort. And why field? Because the field gives a different structure as the frame. Yeah, we talk about a hybrid dynamic space with multiple levels of artistic experience where all these coexist, intersect, and influence one another. So unlike the traditional frame approaching of dance, the field is flexible. It has mobile boundaries, is constantly negotiated and reconfigured through practice. And from this perspective, dance becomes not only a result of work, study, talent, etc., but an emergent process in which corporeality, affectivity, materiality, technology engage in a dialogue. And this process can be sustained by the integration of dance within the two complementary philosophical paradigms. This is the analytic perspective with clarity, terminology, precision, formal logic, and the continental perspective, which of course foregrounds the lived experience, the embodiment, the emerging meaning. And this dual condition can structure an epistemological vision which can serve dance, teachers, artists, and gives the arguments for for the value of dance. Because what we face nowadays, Timothy Chalamet is just a small example, big example actually, is because people don't value dance. So here is, of course, I'm running out of the time, so I'm just going to jump over this. And I just want to say that all this, the necessity that we bring value to dance, not for ourselves inside the dance community, because we know and we value dance and we are aware of that and we practice it and we give it forward. But we need to create this place where we can communicate with others and bring others, non-dancers, and bring the arguments in order to recognize the real value that the dance has in education, in pedagogy, in art, not only as art, but in a private, personal development of everyone who practices. And here, of course, there are conceptual notes that I just want to mention them. The referment to embodiment. Body is a theme. The body is a big theme in dance, which has been a little bit underrepresented, I think, and we should talk about that, not only from a problematic situation, but from the potential that actually the body has if we give the body and the recognition of the body as let's say as a mechanical entity, what we did until now, yeah, what we called Körper, yeah, but also as a place where all the embodiment takes place and is a lively, is a live bodily experience, which we didn't pay so much attention until now. So there are a lot of terminology and a lot of, let's say, notions that we have to redefine through our own knowledge, because who can defend better dance than the dancers themselves? People that have to do with dance, love dance, and form new generation of dancers and of teachers. So this book, and of course this concept that I have, is about a critical map, how to navigate definitions, experiences, methods, and interdisciplinary frameworks. And these tools are intended to support not only the practical training, but also the theoretical training. Of course, artistic practice, because at the end, this is what we want. Yeah, everybody wants to dance professionally or as pleasure. And these are important tools, I think, also for the research. Yeah, for the research. So this acknowledgement that dance and that we can create also for dance a space where concepts, philosophical concepts, can become a reality, can become a dynamic space of interaction among corporeality, meaning, technique, culture, technology, offering a framework capable of sustaining theoretical research, artistic practice, and professional development. It is, I think, extremely important in performing arts of the 21st century. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Simona, for your wonderful presentation. Yes, we are painfully aware how elusive dance is. When the curtain goes down, it's over, yes. And we try to apply theories and concepts and whatever, but it stays elusive. So this approach of yours is rather innovative. Let's call it some kind of midway model between continental analytic and phenomenological approach, and you combine artistic and aesthetic appreciation. So it's rather something that might be really of interest to all of our students and professors. So let's hope we will have your book in English.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Looking for giving more value to the dance community. Yes.
Well, are there any questions? You can put your questions in chat on or Q&A, or you can just answer. I can see here in chat Okay, for now we have just one nice red heart. Do you have any questions or comments before we proceed? No?
So in case there are, sometimes if you have questions, you can always contact me per email. Svebo will of course provide you with email, and I really do apologize that it's not lack of interest that I have to go, but
Yeah,
yes,
it's Wismeier. Well,
thank you.
Simona, thank you very much. We have we share some common background. We were both principal dancers, and now we are scholars, which is something that I can feel your efforts because we have kind of similar experience as dancers, and now trying to bring it to the higher level. So
Yes.
thank you very much for your presentation and for all of your efforts. And now we will proceed with the next presentation. So please, Andraž, would you be so kind and share video presentation that is presentation Slovak folk dance in the process of transformation by Matuš Ivan, Faculty of Music and Dance, Academy of Performing Arts, Bratislava, Slovak Republic. He is not able to participate in live, but he has sent his paper presentation, and I think it is really relevant for today's topic. So please, let's hear it.
Hi everybody, I would like to tell you something about Slovak folk dance in the process of transformation. Slovak folk dance has had a long journey which has spanned several centuries. During this period, it has evolved and developed into the form we can see today. Traditional folk dance is not only an exclusive product of Slovak ethnicity, but it has evolved by geographical, historical and culture-social factors. It has become an integral part of life in the Slovak countryside, and due to its functional importance, it reflects the wider traditional folk culture. Traditional folk dance is getting a second chance at life in the new urban environment. Its purpose, as well as the space for implementation, are fundamentally changing. By the term folk dance, we understand movement, dance and musical art primarily within rural communities but also of the urban population. Using a simplified definition, we could call folk dance a dance created by an ethnic group which is connected to the life of the folk classes, the environment, the national character, which has its own uniqueness within the character of movement, form, and arrangement. This is connected with the vocal instrumental expressions of the nation, the ethnic group, and the passed from generation to generation. It is one of the oldest types of folk art. The forms of Slovak folk dance art that have survived to this day are the result of the interdependence of a whole range of factors. We are referring to a historical defined time period of the shepherd farmer and craft worker culture, approximately 150 to 200 years of dance expressions of minority social groups of the population. It was influenced by local, national and transnational traditions. The process of evolving traditional culture, which also included folk dance as a dynamic phenomenon, came to the performance of its participants, and in the past changing in various forms over time during the transfer from original performers to performer, with different character and with a different feeling. It took place in various conditions and forms and was developed under the influence of factors. Geographical conditions were one of the basic important aspects in the past in the establishment of Slovakia in the European region. The basic terrain of this area were part of Carpathian Mountains, valley and lowlands enclosed in it in the Carpathian Basin reaching in the south of the Great Danube. Ethnic point of view: settlement and several waves of colonization were the main factors: peasant colonization, land colonization, German colonization, Sholti colonization, Wallachian colonization, and Kopanicher colonization. We can say dense expressions of a certain national culture are not always uniform and those we can observe in Slovakia are of purely Slovak origin. Some of them are taken from the cultures of other nations already mentioned above. Significant historical events had decisive importance in influencing the development of traditional folk dance. The most important are the creation of the first state ensemble of the Great Moravian Empire, the arrival of Old Hungarian tribes in the Carpathian Basin, and the Battle of Mohács. There are also many other events which had a huge impact on the advancement of cultures. When analyzing the dance style of minority social groups, shepherd peasant and craft culture, we must focus on the historical defined time period of the 18th and 19th centuries. The explanation for these changes was due to the nature of a new society, a new nationally conscious intelligentsia that was aware of its national partnerships. It recognized folk are not only as a source of inspiration but also mainly the ideological basis of its national revival efforts. Archaic forms of folk music and dance culture are gradually disappearing and the possibilities of their preservation are limited. Here are the main reasons: the demise of traditional form of life, moving to cities for work, modernization, urbanization, industrialization. The starting point for this situation is the emergence and gradual formation of folklorism, which in this case has a protective characteristic. It is not the first time that the music and dance performances of the rural population has been presented outside their natural environment. For example, at noble courts, at coronation ceremonies, parties, and balls. Even during the national revival period, they appear in volunteer theatres and association entertainments. Even in the later period, folk dance was combined with part of opera and ballet performance. Folklore collective emerging in Slovakia deliberately worked with music, song, dance, folklore based on the cultural heritage preserved in our territory, taking into account the regulation of the social settings. They were mostly created in cities, for example factories or schools, and their name changed over time from dance artificial ensembles to ensembles of folk songs and dance to folklore ensembles. The existence and operation of folklore collectives are reflected in their meaning and importance due to the changing rule and evolving new activities. Since their inception, they have performed several essential functions and partially satisfied the needs of society in the field of folk culture. Especially nowadays, the importance is justified from the point of view of two focal functions which directly result from their activities. First, artistic. An ensemble is an artistically active organism creating stylish stage art inspired by folklore. Second, conservation. The ensemble acts as a significant bearer of the idea of revival and preserving tradition and customs inspired by folklore. In a natural way, there has been a change from the informal, spontaneous life of folklore, which was replaced by a more designed style, which aided its preservation. Even today, traditional folklore material has abundant and untapped potential in the field of performing arts in two key areas. In the first, it is a content inspiration that serves as a starting point, a third, or an idea when creating a topic. The second is the source of specific movement, instrumental, vocal and visual elements and motifs which became the dominant component in the realization of a work of art. Tradition, as an original representative of the past, offers the possibility of a credible form of archaic structure in a cultural historical cross-section. The way it is grasped and used is particularly decisive. We are either witnessing an imitation effort without significant originality, or we are getting to a process of creation which is characterized by a new style to various degrees. A unique solution can be innovation offering progressive, new ways of production characterized by genre fusions. This kind of handling of traditional folklore material is a sporadic phenomenon in our country, occurring in different quality of processing and execution. In the past, the life of authentic folklore existed in small social groups which were also its direct creators. Nowadays, the traditional folklore performances of the past have become an expression of mass culture and, in contrast to the variability of folklore, show signs of uniformity. The most elementary difference when comparing the past and the present is found in the national spontaneity of folklore in the past and the institutional guidance and organization of folklore today. The distinction is crucial when exploring the role and significance of the folklore movement in Slovakia. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, so the interesting thing is that, for example, Slovenia has very nice folklore, nice songs, nice dances, but Slovenia has not any, doesn't have any professional folk ensemble, such as, for example, Lado in Croatia or Tanec in Macedonia or Macedonia or I don't know Kolo in Serbia. So this is something that we should address but maybe not today because we don't have enough people that are really experts in that field. But when we speak about the dance as a culture, now we will have possibility to address this dichotomy between preservation of national culture, as we heard here now about Slovak dance, and on the other hand, with this dichotomy between this traditional approach and on the other hand, this contemporary transnational combination of tradition and innovation and dissemination of local folklore dances. So next presenter will be Ana Pandur, a lecturer from Alma Mater Europaea Dance Academy, with the presentation The Metamorphosis of Contemporary Flamenco, crafting individual expressions through digitalization between tradition and innovation. So good morning, Anna. Be so kind and tell us a few words about yourself before you proceed with your presentation. That is really nicely combining with the previous presentation, so we can really address this dichotomy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning to everybody. My name is Ana Pandur. I'm a lecturer at Alma Mater Dance Academy. My course is called Intercultural Dance Practices. So I come from, first when I was a child and a very young girl, from a ballet background and then from a flamenco background. I have since worked a lot in theater, in the opera, but flamenco is still one of the basic components of my research and my life. And I think although the presentation is titled The Metamorphosis of Contemporary Flamenco, I think it could also be titled The Metamorphosis of Dance, because digitalization is this very important key factor in our lives. I will just start the presentation. I think that will be the best. And I think it really nicely combines with the previous presentation, also with the first presentation. I was really pleasantly surprised at, let me just start this. Okay, here we go. Oh, I'm sorry. Just have to do it like this. Nope, stop sharing, sorry. This. Okay. Some technical difficulties I find here. Okay. Okay, do you see it, the presentation? Yes.
Yes, we can see it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I will present the research on the evolution of contemporary flamenco dance. It could also be dance in general, but I think it's really important because digitalization is such a key factor in today's society and in today's life. As you might have seen the video, the short video of Timothée Chalamet that rose so much criticism online in the last days. It has sparked a lot of interest in the ballet and opera and performing arts community. So I think it is a very useful tool. And we all know that the problematic of the shortened attention span that's been talked about a lot in the recent times. Well, I have conducted recently an interview with the ballerina, with Nina Noc, and she said something that sparked a lot of interest in me. She said, yes, but it's still a tool that we can use, we as artists can use to let our work see the light of day, reach very many people. And on the other hand, that we can learn also from it. So I was exploring how digitalization has moved beyond being a mere tool of documentation, but has become this catalyst, the primary catalyst for crafting individual artistic identities, which brings me actually to the rhizomatic learning that Professor Noja before commented and mentioned, this field of knowledge where the community basically becomes the curriculum. So this is what happened in the recent years, in the last maybe 10 or 15 years. And I find it very interesting that people who are living very far apart can share the same knowledge and use it as a base for their artistic expression. So we continue with two very, very different photos, right? So this on the left side, you see, I will share the video later on. We see the photo of La Argentinita from a video from 1935, which is available online. And it's a fantastic tool to get to know the tradition, the past and the history, and to be able not to conserve it because it has been conserved in this video, but to learn from this platform. So there are so many contents available now online. I remember when I started, when I was really young, we didn't have those opportunities because I've been in the flamenco arts for
Excuse me. We don't see the slides. Do you change them or
No, I haven't changed anything.
you haven't changed? Okay, because there is a panic between some
No,
of the students here, so they think that
okay,
you already started
but
to
you don't
change.
see the whole presentation now, right?
Yes, yes. Thank you very much.
Vse je
Yeah,
bilo
see
ok, Ana, vse je bilo ok.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank
Tako
you.
si imela, dej nazaj.
okay, good. Continue to share, right? I'm really sorry for the technical difficulties. I don't know why I get this notification. Your screen sharing is paused. But you see? Do you see my presentation?
Yes, now we see it.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for the. Well, and on the right side, you see an excerpt, a photo from a recent performance from 2023 from a company, contemporary flamenco company from London. So this is for me. Okay, so flamenco has become a global phenomenon since the 20th century, and even after so much more after the fall of Franco's dictatorship, and it has transcended its geographic origins and became a vital case study for our multicultural society. So the role of digitalization, as we have it, as we use it as a tool, is to open horizons and expand the genre and to reinterpret expressions. Because in the case of flamenco, which is not actually a folkloric expression, it has always been an urban subculture that has existed as flamenco since the end of the 19th century, evolved then in the beginning of the 20th century as a very, very popular art form, not just dance form, because it's also about music, of course, and the body as a musical instrument and the vocal expression and the musical expression. It has become increasingly really popular in the beginnings of the 20th century, but then after 1975, 1980, it has become internationally renowned, so that very many people starting practicing flamenco, but had to do so in situ, of course, because there was no tool available to them or to us to be learning. So you had to go there, and the knowledge has not been very widespread. So you would go to Spain in situ to learn something, but they would not give you all of the tools. They would just give you sparks and parts, and maybe it was like this well-guarded secret, the structures, the styles, so all of the systematic, like Professor Nocha was explaining before, all of the analytical structural knowledge was being hidden. So it was more of like a folkloric pedagogical principle, so from mouth to mouth. But this has really changed with the internet, and especially after COVID, because COVID was this marking point where everything went online. So everything became available, and and it created the possibilities of creating art that transcends actually mimesis. So you can take a video or a piece of music and get inspired by it and then share it online, reshare it. And at the same time, the digital environment creates the perfect space for sharing, learning, and also teaching. Here I have this really nice video. I'll just show you this little piece of what I was talking before, that our generation maybe didn't get all of this knowledge. So let's maybe see for just a minute.
Year of classes, students is the 10th country. Within each area, we'll find subcategories that we'll explore in a
Sorry, Anna, we can't. The video's not playing.
Oh, the video's not playing.
No.
Oh. Okay,
I think the slides are not moving when you're going forward. We still have past and present, the slide from before.
Okay. Okay. I don't know how to unpause it.
Maybe if you go back to how it was before, not full screen, but
yeah, maybe.
Try to press advanced.
Okay. Share. Do you see it now?
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
but on just one aspect within one of these areas. And that's the biggest mistake, focusing on just one tiny piece of the whole puzzle. Many things are usually neglected, and we fall into the trap of thinking, oh, I'll study that later, or it's not important, I don't need that, I'm a dancer, I just want to dance, I'm a guitarist, I just want to play. Yes, I know you. But believe me, they are the missing piece that unlock true mastery. If any of these elements are significantly lacking, sooner or later, you'll get stuck. You'll never be.
Well, see, you get the idea. So there is a lot of this and similar content available online. Okay. I don't know why I cannot share this now. I'm truly sorry. So you still can't see.
We don't see anything for now.
This is really embarrassing. I'm sorry.
Okay, just take your time. Now we see it.
Yes, now you see it. Okay. I will just leave it like this, okay? Because it's safe.
Okay,
this
okay,
way.
we
I'm
are
sorry it's
listening
not
to
as
you.
aesthetically pleasing, but I think it's better that we know what it is. So yes, I was here, flamenco as global phenomenon. So the virtual community has become the curriculum. So we take from them and they take from us. So it's had created this new way of performing, new way of acquiring knowledge, and new way of also of teaching. And it also allows for a reinterpretation of flamenco structural codes outside of its traditional Spanish context. So it eliminates the need of having to recreate the exact strategies, and it allows for new strategies to be born. It's this rhizomatic learning, which means it's interconnected. It doesn't have the limitations of having to do things exactly as they have been done before. And dance as an individual expression of the human condition is what actually really needs to have this freedom of breathing and of expressing itself. And then when I was presenting my presentation of foreign flamenco dancers in a conference in Granada in November, I came across, it was a conference called Más allá del Olé. And I found this really interesting because it has always, I've always asked myself why so many people wanted to do flamenco outside of Spain, why it was my wish. And I found this really interesting article. I will share it with you if anybody wants to. So it's an article on Beletrina Digital by Jan Pfister. It's called the Nostalgia for the Unlived, which is basically an aesthetic strategy used by artists who did not inherit the tradition directly, but seek to reinterpret it. article speaks about Gen Z, actually, about how they want to recreate a past they have never lived. So why they listen to cassettes, why they dress the way they did, why they really want to go back into a past they don't know, they have never lived. And it's maybe because of it argues that it's maybe because they don't have great prospects for the future. So it's a really interesting article. If somebody wanted to read it, I can share it later on. So it's basically also for artists living outside of Spain who don't have flamenco as internalized maybe as Spanish artists. It's a retroactive creation of traditions. So artists outside of Spain do not merely imitate, but they recreate myths anew. And this is also what dance is all about. It's about embodiment. It's about having the experience that then later can be transformed into an artistic expression. So it also combines two sources of knowledge, a combination of in situ learning. So in Spain, where you have all the access to the tools, to the tradition, to the maestros, to the music, to everything, and then to create in an environment that is actually very deprived of all of those instruments and all of those tools. So there is where the real creativity and the spirit of the power, the potential of one's creativity can actually expand, because without all of the resources, having to create or feeling the need to create something that's inspired by another tradition, another culture maybe, or another subculture, to put it this way, is a difficult challenge. And you have to have some kind of base where you can really part from. So I think digitalization has been the number one reason and the number one tool for being able to do so. I think it doesn't just apply to flamenco, it can also apply to many different styles, also to urban or to hip hop or to dance hall traditions, or maybe even for salsa. So because all of those genres are being interconnected and being put into this big melting pot of what is actually called dance. As an expression of the human condition, basically. So this retroactive creation of tradition creates new pathways, so new ideas, and it does allow for a more multicultural society and for a more open and less patriarchal art in itself. That doesn't, if I refer again back to Professor Norja's presentation, that it's not about just the Western tradition of maybe ballet, it's about all of the other traditions, but where we don't just simply mimic, but we drink from the base, and we can later on go on to create our own universes and spaces. So digitalization has been a medium and also a tool. The digital spaces allow artists to become the subjects of their own creation, and it enables sharing information globally and create artistic circles throughout different regions and countries. Here, I would really like to emphasize, 2 years ago, we had in the Dance Academy, we had a guest teacher, Juan Carlos Lerida. He's the author of a system that is called El Método Flamenco Empírico, the flamenco empirical method, and it also began as a basically digital experiment. So he would hold like this online diaries on Facebook, and it built a very big community from which also that book, I have it here, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, so this is this book, which is really important to know how it really created this community that has ever since grown into basically a movement. a movement of contemporary flamenco that really is still inspired, but brings together so many communities from really different parts of the world, different backgrounds, professional backgrounds, be it contemporary dancers, be it musicians, be it visual artists, that combines into a new performative art form, which maybe no longer can be called flamenco in its traditional sense, but it corresponds to the contemporary ways of being and living. So through this digital lens, the dancer is not just a carrier of ancient movements. They become the dancers or the choreographers become subjects who actively reassemble flamencos or dances fragments to reflect their own contemporary reality. So I would really like to show you maybe two videos, just short.
We are running out of time, so try to do it quickly,
Okay,
please.
I will just show you 10 seconds of this video.
Okay.
Video from 1935.
Just we don't see it. You have to stop sharing the presentation, and then Anna, we don't see the presentation.
Yeah, okay.
You have to stop sharing the Pepe presentation.
Okay, so well, it's two very different videos. If you want, I can send you then later on the presentation, and you can reshare it. So if I go back to the autonomous creation, the critical appropriation, again, I will cite Juan Carlos Lerida, the author of Método Flamenco Empírico. There was never a thing called traditional flamenco because it has always been a reflection of the contemporary time. And also, the digitalization is legitimizing one's own autonomous artistic expression. So once you come out of your shell and start sharing your content, your ideas online, you can then receive, and it forms this rhizomatic exchange that brings artists and people closer together, although it can also be very polar. So we can have our differences. And it's also a great platform for critical thinking. So the artist has to be this thinking subject, not merely an interpret of what they see, or a conservator. It's just not just a copyist or a repetitioner of known materials. So I would also like to talk a little bit about the sound, because the digitalization doesn't just mean that we work online, that we post videos. It also means that the digital tools integrate into the practice. Above all in music. So the musicality has changed. The notion of music, if we think that maybe a flamenco dancer never, because it's a communicative tool, never dances to music. So you cannot have a dance solo. You always have a duet with the music. So when you insert electronic music, maybe electronic sounds into it, which are very different from the human voice, it starts creating other realities, and it starts to intertwine with the human experience. So to conclude, I would just like to emphasize that it is still very important to know the rules to be able to transcend them. So to know the base, to know the tradition, to know where to abstract from. So to first learn to draw and then to paint an abstract picture. So that would be, I think, a really important also message to all of the students who are attending today, that it's always that it's good to know the base and then to transcend it. So yes, I would really like to thank everybody for your attention. I'm really sorry for the technical difficulties I've had.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Anna, for your wonderful presentation. I'm also sorry for technical problems, but we got the idea, and I think your presentation really fits under the title Dance as Culture in Contemporary Multicultural Society. However, we are a little bit running out of the time. So, do we have any questions maybe?
Yes, I would like to ask.
Rosanna, please. Just to say one thing, Rosanna, I see you put a question for Dr. Noja. She had to leave, that's why she was first,
Okay.
and I will send her your questions so she can answer to them. Okay.
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 I have
So,
a question for Anna.
Oh.
How are these traditional flamenco communities react on this contemporary flamenco that's developing now?
Well, it's a political question. Yeah, so you have this one line of traditionalists who really try to preserve. I think we do have to coexist because there needs to be this one part that's still rooted in tradition that's basically becoming a mosaic art form, but has to be conserved. So you remain to have a platform. But yes, of course, they are not thrilled. There are communities that are trying actively to prevent contemporary or to deny that this is still flamenco. But I think the label no longer fits the actuality. Yeah, so I don't think we need to talk about flamenco and ballet. It's dance, it's art, it's expression, but it's like different languages. So it's not that the Slovenian language is above other languages. It's languages. So it's just tools and means to be able to express our realities.
So now they are even more closed as before, because I know when we talked one time that these communities are really radical. So you cannot come
Yes.
in if you are not
No.
born that way with
No.
that race.
There are
And
certain communities you cannot enter for now, and I think you will be unable to enter in the future. But there has a parallel community has been built and is being built, which is really international, which is really also based in Spain, and there are also so many festivals, like international festivals, like the Netherlands Festival or Albuquerque or London flamenco festivals, that still prefer Spanish artists, it has to be said, although they do really contemporary work. But slowly, it is being processed and is being integrated into different art forms, into museums, into performance art. So it has been expanding, yes, a lot.
thank you.
Thank you.
okay, thank you very much. So the time is running fast. We are a little bit late, but never mind. It was a really interesting discussion. So now we will continue with Anna Vodicek, head of urban department at Alma Mater Europaea Dance Academy, with her presentation on dancing with words, linguistic variation, genre-specific usage, and non-Slovene terminology in Slovenian dance discourse. So, Anna, would you be so kind and tell us a few words about yourself and your work, and continue with your presentation? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, hello everybody. So my name is Anna and I'm the head of the urban department at our dance academy. I also thought it was very interesting about what you were saying, Anna, in the flamenco, and I agree. In the urban community, it is very similar. Maybe it's more globalized, but I think we kind of face the same progress and the same issues. Today, I will speak about terminology, which also kind of replies to the first presentation we had today. Why terminology is important is because it also brings value to the dance community and to dance as an art. So yes, I'm still an active dancer, choreographer, coach in Slovenia for urban, for street dance. Mostly we have competitions. We we don't have so many other platforms that we can use, but we are trying to expand into that areas. So that's also why I started doing research into other perspectives of dancing, because I think also urban dances with all the historical background and the political views, and um, as a movement of people and everything that it has done is very interesting also in an artistic way. But yes, today I will talk about terminology, and why it's important is because if we want to bring value to dance, it means that we need to write books, and we need to write textbooks, and we need scientific articles, which are a problem in dancing in general, but especially in urban dances, because these are dances that come from the streets and there is not a lot of scientific research. So, as a master thesis in my journalism studies, I dove into dance journalism, which is a very not researched theme. And this presentation today is one part of that master thesis. And I will now share so you can see it. Okay. Can you see it? Yes?
Yes, it's good.
Okay, thank you. So this title that Professor Svechak said is basically a lot of fancy words to say that I was researching what words and what phrases we use in the Slovenian language in dance as a specific area of expertise. Because for effective communication between experts, we need a well-organized naming system within the field of expertise. And if we don't have that, it means that it can be disruptive to professionals. What that means is that if we do not have the same names for words, for subjects, for adjectives, then communicating with each other and understanding each other is very hard. So when the topic is specialized, as in dancing, communication makes use of professional vocabulary called terminology. And in this course, we use that vocabulary. So we use those specific dance words and phrases only when we are under the assumption that the listener or the reader, so the person on the other side, knows and understand what those words and phrases mean. In Slovenia, we only have one dance-specific media, which is the online portal Dance Parade or Parada Plesa, which I'm sure all the Slovenian dancers have heard of. Why it's important is because media also gives attention to the themes and the areas of expertise that are kind of more important in the general audience, so among people when they talk. So if we don't have media that report about dancing, then we don't lose interest from the dance, from the people who are already in dance, but we are talking about the people who maybe are not so much into dance themselves. So we need the media to give us attention, to bring forth all of our not just problems, also like the good things, so about the performances and about everything. And this is also why I wanted to do my master thesis about this. And there's a lot of studies that about this, actually, how the media can make one subject more conversational because it brings attention to it. So in my study, I analyzed 100 media texts from the online portal Dance Parade across 4 months. And I also interviewed the editor and journalist Barbara Drnač, as well as Dr. Petra Zaletel, who is a professor of sports education at our University of Ljubljana, the Faculty of Sports. She takes care of the dance department there, and I interviewed both of them because I wanted to give their perspective on how the terminology is now, if they have sufficient literature and books that they can go to when they don't know what words to use. And my analysis focused on the terms that belong to a very narrow professional field of dance. So I excluded all of those that belong to adjacent but still dance-related domains, like theater, sports, and music terminology. So I only went for the really specific to dance, as well as I also took out all the terms that are part of the general everyday vocabulary. So like stage or practice or dance studio, because those words are the ones that everybody knows what they mean. Immediately, as soon as I got all of my terms, I realized that professional dance terminology differs across dance genres. That means that in different genres of dancing, we use different terminology. Some of it is the same, so that is the general terminology, but a lot of it is very specific to the field. So some terms appear only in one dance genre, some appear in many, and the more important thing is that some carry different meanings in different dance genres. For example, we have words or phrases amateur and professional, which in most dance genres mean the same thing. So amateur is somebody who is more into a hobby, and professional is somebody who gets paid to dance. But in ballroom, especially, it has another meaning, and it goes to what dance organization you compete under. So amateur is more loose, but professional is once you decide to go professional, you cannot go back, and that is where only the very, very top competitors are. And it's more, I think, aggressive, or basically it's just a different dance organization. But the ballroom people know when they use these terms what they're speaking about, and maybe some other genres of dancing would not understand it the same way. So immediately I found out that if somebody would take on the task of doing Slovenian dance terminology, they would need experts from every different genre. From what I got in my study, and these are definitely not all of the different genre-based terminologies, but from the media text that I researched, I divided them into general dance terminology, ballet terminology, flamenco, oriental dance, contemporary, ballroom, and street dance. And you can see some of the examples. And I won't read them all, but you can see some of the words are in Slovenian, and some are the ones that are in italics are in different languages. So like slow motion, pas de deux, danza estilizada, Bollywood, contemporary fusion, power move, etc. And what this shows us immediately, because I was analyzing Slovenian media text, but what I realized is that 85% of the analyzed dance terms that I gathered are not in the Slovenian language, which is not so good, because in the Slovenian media text, we are also supposed to preserve the Slovenian language as kind of what we were talking before, that every culture wants to preserve their own foundations. So from the 85% of the non-Slovenian words and phrases, from this, 1/3 is quoted words and phrases. Quoted words mean that they're written in the original form, so in French, in English, or other languages, and are not a part of the Slovene standard language. And also, it was very obvious, very fast, that in individual dance genres, quoted words originate from the language of the cultural environment in which the given dance genre developed. So in ballet, that's French terminology. In street dance, it's English because it comes from the States. In flamenco, it's Spanish. And Oriental dance, it's Indian and Arabian terminology. But then also from the non-Slovenian words, 1/10 were foreign words. Foreign words are borrowed words that have not fully adapted to Slovene, but usually only in their spelling. So also like balance, if you would spell it in a Slovenian way, balans, that would be a foreign word, because you write it as you would in Slovenian, but it's still not a Slovenian word. And then the rest of the words from the 85% were loan words. However, they have fully adapted. So that means that we use them in the Slovenian language, but they're original roots are not from the Slovenian language, but we have totally accepted them and are now a part of the dictionary. So as an example here, I also have, maybe this would be the easiest to get it very fast to understand. So pirouette, if I would write it as pirouette, as you can see with quoted words, it's in French in the original. And then as a foreign word, it would be pirouette. Kind of like it sounds the same, but it's written in the way you would write it in Slovenian. And as a loan word, it would be pirueta. So because we put it in a different gender and write it as you would in Slovenian. But the thing here is that we don't know. So this is an example of how these words will look differently, but we are only supposed to have one version of how we write a word or term. And the problem with dance terminology in Slovenia is that we do not have information about which one is supposed to be right. So in the media texts, we found different ways of writing the words and different ways of sometimes it will be in another language, sometimes in Slovenian. So that means that the terminology is definitely not on board. It's not the same for everybody. I showed this before. So just, yes, a few examples also. And this is what I was talking about with the pirouette. So there's linguistic variation. When I did the study, sometimes the words would be written as one word and sometimes separately, as in prima ballerina or prima ballerina. Again, the problem is that we don't know which one is supposed to be correct. And if it's not always used in the same way, then there comes possible misunderstandings. Of course, not maybe here with just how you write it. That's not so much of a problem. But because sometimes we use different terms, then it can become a problem. And also these media texts are not just between experts, they are also used for the broader public, so it should be more professional. And then, for example, of course, hip hop, write it separately, together, or with a hyphen. Again, we don't know which one is supposed to be correct. You can just look up which one is used more, but none of them is correct or wrong. And then another way of writing different ones, as I was saying before, different adapted spellings of the same term, like pirouette, pirueta, pirouette, or show, once in English and once in kind of like a Slovenian version, or performance, the same thing, or balance, as I was saying before. And then again, different quoted spellings. So the words that were quoted on the original, it was like different. Sometimes rock and roll, sometimes rock and roll. That is not so much of a Slovenian problem, but still, it is important to talk about. Another thing is that 20% of the dance terminology, so all of these that I was saying, the terms, the words, the phrases are jargonisms. Jargonisms are non-standard vocabulary. So think of it like slang. It's the words that you use in the community, in the everyday working practice. A lot of times it's just like shorter expressions of a broader term, but usually only experts understand them when they talk to each other, but it can be disruptive in professional texts. So as I was saying before, in the media texts, which are meant for more people, it should be always standardized to make sure that the meaning doesn't get lost or misunderstood. The analyzed jargonisms, as well as I was saying before about terminology, can also be classified according to the dance genre to which they belong. So in my study, I divided them into general jargonisms, which means that they apply to all dance genres, and then ballet, contemporary, ballroom, street dance. If they're in a certain bracket, it means that they only have a certain meaning, they only exist under their dance genre, not in the other ones. And I have an example. Some jargonisms can be unclear because they're polysemic, which means they have different meanings in the context of different dance genre. So again, I have an example of combination means something different in ballroom. Ballroom is special than other dance genres. So combination in most, I think, I won't say all, but most dance genres, I think would for everybody mean a combination of steps or moves. So like maybe a short part of choreography or just different word for choreography. So combination, I'm sure everybody has used that at some point. But in ballroom, it is used as a jargonism for a category of competition. So in ballroom, you can compete in standard or in Latin or in both, which means you compete in all 10 dances, and it's called the combination of 10 dances. But in short, they say combination. So it's the same in Slovenian language, kombinacija. And I think you can understand in different dance genres that could get us to miscommunications, to maybe not understand the things that somebody is saying in the same way. And in some cases, the problem is that appropriate standard language equivalents for jargonisms are missing. That means that we don't have a Slovenian word for the terms, either jargonisms or other words and phrases. And the dance profession should take responsibility for developing them in Slovenia. As an example, power move from breakdancing, from breaking, sorry. But we don't have a appropriate one word or a phrase to use instead of this. So then that's why they write power move. So in conclusion, although the use of foreign expressions is justified in certain cases, like ballet, because it has such an important historical or professional convention, it has been used for so long, then that is something that the community has agreed that they use, and also more of the general public understands. But in many instances, those terms are used mainly because of insufficient attention to linguistic culture in dance reporting. So that means that either there is no terminology available in Slovenian, or they just don't look it up, or they think that it will be maybe closer to the readers or to the listeners to use more slang words, or more, a lot of times it's English words, because that's what the younger generations use. But because these are media texts, and like I was saying before, it is important to have terminology in our language, because we want to write books and we want to write textbooks and we need scientific articles. We cannot write those that give value to the dance community and to dance as an art form if we don't have the right terms. And also for Slovenia, but I think also for a lot of other countries, because I have colleagues all around, and when I speak to them, they say approximately the same things. In the professional field, no one systematically deals with the linguistic management of Slovenian dance terminology, and no dance institution formally assumes the responsibility for its standardization and development. So if we want to have one terminology, for example, the theater community has an online dictionary of theater terms, and they have worked on that, and it is the first one of its the first one that exists, but hopefully there will be more soon, because now with the digitalization, this is getting easier to do. But dance doesn't have it, and none of the organizations feel like it's their responsibility to take care of this, to take on this role of providing that. So that's why I also interviewed Dr. Petra Zaletel from the University of Ljubljana, and I also asked around at the Dance National Organization of Slovenia, and everybody's like, oh yeah, somebody should do it, but it's probably not going to be us. So that is something that I might take on in the future, or try to find how this thing would work, that we could manage this and make it better, because I think, like I said, it would bring more value to dance in the community, and we would understand each other more. And if we have scientific research, then we are worth more in the eyes of the public and in the eyes of science. So that's the end. Thank you for your attention. I know it's about language, so maybe it wasn't so interesting, but I think it's also a very important subject to bring on. And yes, if anybody would like to talk about it more, and if anybody has any questions,
Thank you.
I am here.
Thank
I
you
have
very
a
much,
question.
Anna. It was really nice to hear this about this topic. Yes, in ballet we have vocabulary, but it would be really stupid to try to bluntly translate plié, tendu, jeté, whatever. But as we know, French is rather complicated and difficult language in the terms of spelling and pronouncing. So we have all kinds of mistakes in pronouncing and spelling. And if we tolerate it as artists, definitely we shouldn't tolerate that as scholars. So we must be strict in the ways how we write down particular steps. Of course, regarding the other types and fields of dance, it's a really there exists a real need to find some way of noting down some kind of vocabulary, as you mentioned. It is maybe it's up to you, maybe it's your turn to
I
do
think it
something.
is.
Yeah, yeah. We have to start somewhere. Yeah. Okay. I see Rosanna is willing to ask you some questions, please.
Yes, I would just like to say that in Slovenia there is a manual for ballet terms, terminology. Just that you know that exists.
For ballet,
But is it in Slovenian?
Yes, it's direct
all terms.
translation. It's like Mr. Sveber said. It's for some words it's really stupid. That's why it's better to keep them in French for a ballet, and it's the same goes for contemporary dance. You can't translate because in the Slovenian language, for example, you just can't keep the dynamic of the class and the technique with the Slovenian translation. Yeah.
Yes, that
Yeah.
was mostly the point of everybody I spoke to. Also, there is actually a dictionary, Lexikon Cankarjeve založbe, dance, but it's from the 1990s. So a lot of dance genres are not in there. So it should be adapted or just maybe
Yeah.
going
But
through again now with
just for a thought, I think with that kind of research, we need a distinction between dance as an artistic form and dance that operates in the framework of sport, tradition, folklore, and commercial. Yeah, because contemporary developed out from ballet. Yeah, and we really share history together. Yeah. And it would be also interesting when the language change from French to English. Yeah.
And I think that's why it's so important to realize that it is genre based. We can't just talk about dance terminology in general. It has to be very specific. And if somebody will take on this role of trying to find some Slovenian words where it is possible, they will have to work with professionals from each different genre because one person can't do it all. So yeah, I just think it's very interesting to kind of learn about how it works and how much more complex it is than we think at like just the first thought.
Definitely. Thank you, Anna. Are there any more questions or can we proceed? We are a little bit late, but don't worry because some of the participants will not be able to join us, so we have enough time. And now we will proceed with the next presentation. So I invite Matjaž Mrak, lecturer at Alma Mater Europaea Dance Academy, with his topic Contemporary Dance Between Digitalization and Artificial Intelligence. So, Matjaž, please be so kind and tell us a few words about yourself and your work, and then proceed with your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for the word. Hello, my name is Matjaž. I'm a director of photography. My career is my professional career lasts for 30 years, and I was quite several times also awarded. also for the dance films. So one part of my work is documentary and fiction films, but my passion are contemporary dance films. What else to say? Yes, maybe I can invite you in April 17th on the premiere of my new film, which will be in Idria at 8 p.m. cinema. Film is inspired by great Italian director Pier Pablo Pasolini, who used to live in my hometown between 1929 and 1930. Okay, and now I will share.
Thank you for the invitation. How nice to hear about it. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I will share my presentation. Okay, you see?
Yes, we can see it.
Perfect. Okay, just have to press play. Yeah, so okay, my lecture consists of...
Okay, just wait, everything disappeared.
Really?
Yes, at least from my screen.
Sorry. Whoop.
I don't know what went wrong.
I don't know
like
what
a video? You have a video or Pepe presentation?
I have PPP presentation.
Now I can see it again, but in the mode that we can see also the boxes at the left side.
So it's better if I stay like
You
this.
can stay, we can see it like this. It's just okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So as I start, my lecture consists of 5 chapters. In the first part, I will talk about digitization of movement in multidisciplinary performance 2. Then the second one, dance and digital archives. Then dance versus various platforms. In fourth one, artificial intelligence and contemporary dance with practical examples. And of course, at the end, I will conclude everything. But before I begin my lecture, I would like to briefly explain that I will use the term digitization and not digitalization. In audiovisual content, the term digitization means the conversion of material from an analog into a digital record or format. In this first part, titled The Digitization of Movement in the Multidisciplinary Performance 2, I will talk about a full-length performance by Neven Korda, in which I worked as a camera operator 2 decades ago. The performance creates a multi-level theatrical reality through which it presents different states of reality. What was important is that movement does not happen only in front of audience, but is constantly transferred, transformed, and recreated on different media levels. The performance took place on 3 levels: as a live dance performance by Rosanna Hribar and Igor Swiderski, as a row of 4 monitors in the background, and as 2 video projections. In the performance, 4 cameras were used. They were connected to computers through which image manipulators captured, proceed, and send the material live to the monitors and projections. So on the first level, we saw the live performance directly. On the second level, we saw digitized and still recognizable images. On the third level, we saw an almost abstract computer-transformed electro impulses of movement. It is important that all this happened live, and that the audience could watch all 3 levels at the same time and choose where to direct their attention. So the media here is not only an addition, but an essential part of the performance, creating a complex relationship between image and bodily reality. For our discussion, it is especially important that the movement was recorded and modulated live, and the actual place of performance. And because of careful digital archiving, this material is still accessible today. Dance and digital archives. Digital archives are extremely important today because they make a long-term preservation access, and reuse of material possible. Through digitization or digital storage, original material suffers less physical damage, and the material becomes accessible to a wider group of users, including from a distance. This is also true for dance, which is now being turned into videos, online archives, databases, and other digital formats. In this way, dance begins to circulate as a digital content on social media, in digital libraries and archives. However, digital archiving is not without problems. Digital files are not permanent. They are threatened by technical failures and by the obsolescence of storage media, software, and file format. In addition, one single copy or storage in one cloud does not mean safe long-term preservation. To summarize, digital archives are essential for protecting society's memory and giving access to knowledge, but they only work if we understand them as a process of continuous management, not simply as one-time storage files. Dance versus digital platforms. Today we publish digital content on platforms such as Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, but these are no longer only channels of distribution. They are increasingly also becoming environments for a training of artificial intelligence. By using these services, we often, at the same time, also allow our content to be used for machine learning. If we look more closely at the terms of use of some platforms, we quickly see that by agreeing to use of them, we often also allow our content to be used for machine learning, but not only machine learning, also for other things. It's written on the slide. This means that artificial intelligence learns something new from every uploaded or sent file. On another level, this creates a knowledge base from which new products, new models, new content are produced. But this knowledge base is gaining more and more value and also a higher and higher price. In this way, digital dance does not only circulate on social media, but also constantly multiplies as a stream of recordings. This is especially clear in case of TikTok choreographies. On this basis, artificial intelligence uses digital traces of the body as data for analysis and for the creation of new movement material. So, with help of artificial intelligence, it is possible to create new dance phrases, new structures, or even whole choreographies, which choreographers and dancers then test, embody, reshape, or reject. Artificial intelligence and contemporary dance. Artificial intelligence is basically hungry for data. Only when we digitize dance as a video, motion capture, or another form of record, does movement become data. And it is exactly from this data that artificial intelligence can learn, analyze them, and use to create new dance material. Practical examples. Process. From my dance film, Pavilion Motor, I selected 4 different images or freeze frames. So, frame number 1. Okay, it doesn't work now. Okay. Sorry, if I don't have in the play mode, I can show you only now this first frame, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Okay. I choose 4 different frames from my film. Okay. Then I prepared directing instructions for videos and with help of ChatGPT adapted them into prompts for specific software. We entered the prompts and the photographs into the software and pressed the generate button. Software we used, Kling AI 2.6 Turbo paid version. Length of each video, 10 seconds. Average generation or generated time for each video, approximately 180 seconds. Case number 1. Female dancer stands still at the beginning of the scene. She slowly starts moving like a ballerina with graceful contemporary ballet motion. Soft wind moves through her hair and costume, cinematic atmosphere, and on close-up. Okay, hopefully it will work now like this. Yes, it will. Okay. Where is it? Okay, it's here. Okay, case number 2. Start with close-up of female dancer. She begins moving in expressive contemporary dance style. The camera gradually reveals more space and dance in a wide shot, cinematic and fluid. Here is the result. I have to add that this we didn't polish anything. This is just first prompts we put it in the software, and this is the first result we get out, actually. Then you can start to polish and to improve. So, okay, case number 3. Start with close-up on a female dancer. She begins moving in expressive contemporary dance style. Add subtle handheld camera motion for a natural and immersive feel, and in a wide shot. Okay, result. Okay, so case number 4 starts with full video shot of a female dancer. She begins moving in expressive contemporary dance style inspired by Pina Bausch. Add subtle handheld camera movements, soft wind, and mystical atmosphere lighting, and in a wide cinematic frame. Result. Okay. And test number 2. To the prompts, we added the following instruction. Important, keep the body proportions. Do not extend hands and arms. Do not make double arms, and do not make any double body proportions. Now I will show you all 4 videos without one by one. Okay, and the last test, it was kind of a little of a joke. Test number 3, change the outfit on this person. Important, her outfit changes gradually in several seconds. Jeans is always blue, never black. And then we left to keep the body proportions, etc. The result is here. It's only one video, 10 seconds. Yeah, this opens several key questions for contemporary dance. How does our understanding of the body change when the body is at the same time live and data-based? Who is the author when artificial intelligence is involved in the making of choreography? And what are the ethical and political consequences of the fact that bodies and their movement histories are stored as a data that can be processed, shared, and commercially exploited? Conclusion. Today, the digitization of dance no longer means only the preservation of movement, but also its transformation into image, archive, and data. In this way, dance no longer lives only on stage, but also on screen, in the archive, and more in systems of artificial intelligence. This is exactly where important questions appear. What happens to the body, to authorship, to artistic experience when movement becomes a data material? And finally, what happens to authenticity when movement can be endlessly reproduced, changed, and newly generated? So the future of dance, therefore, depends not only on how we create it, but also on how we store it, how we read it, and to whom we actually give it. Above all, it's up to us to learn how to distinguish between videos made with the help of artificial intelligence and videos made in an authentic environment. So it's about people, it's about us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Matthias. It's really something of great interest, the field that is developing. Now it reminds me of some of your clips remind me of Maya Deren and her vertical film form. Imagine what she could have done with artificial intelligence and her progressive ideas at the middle of 20th century. But now, yeah, this is something we should really be thinking of and analyzing in future, where we as performers, as dancers, as choreographers, where we stand in the relation to artificial intelligence. So very relevant text. Thank you very much. Do we have any comments? Do we have? Yes, we have Murtic Nika raised hand, please.
Yes, I would like to ask a question regarding the video. I found it very interesting. So because it's an online presentation and was a bit lagging, I have a question if it's like if the AI did it smoothly and how to ask whether the original video, if I would play it from your computer, would it be a smooth shot? Because it was a bit lagging now because it was shared.
The shot is completely smooth.
Yeah.
And actually, I have to add that only the first and the last frame were taken from my film. So in 10 seconds, we produced 250 frames. So 48 frames were actually generated by the artificial intelligence in only 3 minutes. That's also raises the cost of the film. But the good thing at the moment is that the longest shot you can generate now at that moment is 15 seconds.
Amazing. I also have one other question, if I may ask. Do you believe that when you said at the end, that's like how we store dance, right? Do you believe with like digital evolution happening now and with artificial intelligence that the storage will actually be live performances? The only way of keeping it alive is to not make it, how to say, make it readable, whether it's AI or is it like a real human being doing it?
I'm not sure if I understood the question correctly, but I would say that archives, however, will be very important. But on the other side, of course, we will need to have as much as possible live or in-person performances.
Okay.
If I understood the question correctly.
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Thank you, Nika. Rosanna, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, the instructions you show us on the screen for AI, yeah, this is the only thing that you put inside of this system.
The only thing, copy paste from a chatbot to the presentation.
So if I want dance to be more complicated, I just need to put more data inside for the dancer. Because the dance was simplified, yeah. But can this artificial intelligence can manage also more complex choreographies?
Absolutely can, but that was not my intention. My intention was to just to show the first part, you know. So as I said, already the second part is polished. So we gave already more instructions, and then you're just adding more and more and more. Be careful here, be careful at this part. Don't change the color of shoes, don't change the color of shirt, don't, you know. It's actually, it's not anymore about making choreography live, like physical, but it's much more about giving right instructions. And I was really surprised because chatbot, actually ChatGPT, asked me, okay, for which software shall I prepare the prompts? You know, so actually, okay, as you saw, we worked in a Kling, but there are so many softwares and they're developing so fast that actually it's almost impossible to follow all of them.
Yes, but that means that if a choreographer, if you don't have a group of dancers, you can just put your work in the computer. If you have a good instructions, you can still create a choreography.
There are also other softwares, but I haven't had time today to show all these things. You have I can send links. You have softwares where this, I don't know, 1 million different poses, bodily poses, are stored, and actually you start to create, to just to click on them, and you create your own choreography. And once you have it, you just press play, and it's like you see, it works. You know.
Yeah, it's definitely a tool for the future. I mean, for the present already, but for the future, definitely, it's really a tool to be considered. Anna, you wanted to add something.
Yes, I just wanted to ask, but maybe I just wanted to comment also on this. Yes, as a tool, but I don't know. For me specifically, as choreographer, a lot of I love to work on spot, and a lot of times when a person makes a mistake, we use that because it actually looks better than what we initially had intended. So I think it is a tool, but I don't think it can ever fully replace a human connection.
Let's
But
hope.
yes,
Let's hope so.
let's hope not. Yeah. I was just gonna ask, do you as a filmmaker, do you have, is there certain tells that you know what is AI and what is not? Like when you would watch this dance short sequence, can you tell, or is it also frightening to you how good this has gotten?
This is the question for $1 million.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't have it. But you know, the artificial intelligence is improving from day to day, really on daily basis. So some slowly, some sequences or just backgrounds in some sequences made with the artificial intelligence, you are not recognized. You cannot recognize them anymore. You don't know what is actually really chroma key on one side, on the other side. CGI, and on the third side, artificial intelligence. But with artificial intelligence, for example, I was just just recently, I was cooperating at one feature film in Slovenia. We filmed some sequences on the street, and then they changed completely background with that artificial intelligence, and it seems like that we were really on the in the war zone, but actually we weren't.
And do you think the AI generated content should be titled as, so if it should they
Yeah.
should write somewhere this
Yes.
was made with AI?
Yes, this is already actually also when you are uploading videos to Vimeo or to YouTube, you already have to you should
Stamp,
mark
yeah.
that
Yeah.
it's made with artificial intelligence.
Because we have like in hip hop culture now you have songs made with AI but using rappers' voices. And just 2 days ago, I found a song and I was like, oh, this is very good. I'm gonna use this. And then I realized it's AI. but I could not tell. And it was actually a lot better. But then because I feel like it's not beneficial to the artist because it was used without their permission, that I won't use it because I want to appreciate the artist. But like it sparked like a debate in my mind also, like, do we use this? Do we not? It's a cool song, but so AI is very
It will be,
interesting
I
to
think
me.
it will be regulated because it's the problem
Yeah,
of the actors and
everybody.
dancers and composers and singers. So all the artists have now that problem, and it must be some
Regulated, yeah.
legislative thing to deal with it, because otherwise it's gonna be a lot of problems. Even I would say even it could be even crime, to just to borrow someone's voice or to
Yeah,
put
but
him in let's say in a war zone, as Matthias mentioned. It's fake. So we should really know about whether it is artificial or it's for real. Okay, Matthias, you wanted to say something? Then we have one more question from Anna Pandur.
I just wanted to add that, for example, I showed terms of use from WeTransfer, and my bridge is the same, and Vimeo is going the same way because they're the same owner of WeTransfer and Vimeo. So actually, on the other side, they have there is a one big platform. They actually guarantee you that you can take whatever you want, because it for them is cheaper to hire, I don't know, 10 lawyers as to start to produce new things. So I'm not sure if how these things will be regulated later, because now we are signing already. Okay, I'm not using WeTransfer anymore. I don't want to hire for it. Yeah.
Anna.
I would just like to add something, a comment to what Anno just said, yeah, about the usage of music that you thought was human voice or human produced, but then later on you realized, well, a lot of times when I hear contemporary like pop music, the production, the digitalization of the voice, the compressions are so high, that you cannot even discern. So I think one of the, I don't know, not to fight with artificial intelligence, but to use it as a tool, I think is also really important for us, and also to rethink what the essence, the human essence is. So the human essence is more based in imperfection than in perfection. So AI does things perfectly, the perfect pitch, and the human condition, I think, is the imperfect condition. So to work on that and to maybe think about that is something that I think as a society we should be considering a little more, because we're talking about the multifaceted realities, about multicultural settings, about everything, but still this longing for the so-called perfection in every art form, it's still about crafting individuality. So as we try to be similar one to another, and we try to forget the individual shapes that make us, I think this is one of the, and dance is, as in its form, in its essence, the individual expression. So I think
Yes. Thank you very much, Anna, for your comment. I think we definitely agree. Now I have to proceed with the second section of today's dance conference. So now we will proceed with ballet pedagogy and somatic practices. Unfortunately, Dr. Melinda Sitt was not able to participate today, to join us today. So we will skip to Claudia Sovre, MA student, with her text, Application of the Vaganova Method in a Contemporary Context, Pedagogical Analysis with a Focus on the Slovenian Setting and the Integration of Modern Approaches in Heterogeneous Learning Groups. So, Claudia, please.
Yes. Hello, I'm here. I don't know why you cannot see me, because I put my video in
Okay.
on. Maybe somebody can help me.
Well, if you
Better.
have a Pepe presentation, it's not a big problem. So just that we see your presentation, that would be nice.
Yeah, okay. Also I need help because I didn't do it for a long time to put my PowerPoint on the how is it that I put it on the
You have
that
to
you can
press
see
the share button at the bottom, green, share.
okay, evo. Idem na taj. A vidite sad već to?
Ne.
Okay.
Okay,
Evo.
now.
Sad idemo na cijeli taj.
Okay, we see it.
Okay. Ovako.
Yes, good.
Okay, super. Okay, so I will start, yes?
Yes,
Hello.
thank you. Yeah, proceed.
My name is Claudia Savre. I was a ballet dancer first, and then ballet teacher, ballet assistant, and also a little bit of choreographer in Slovenian National Theatre, Opera and Ballet Ljubljana. I finished undergrad studies in ballet at the Dance Academy, Alma Mater Evropareia, and I'm currently completing my master degree in dance pedagogy under the mentorship of Professor Dr. Srebor Sečak. Today, I will talk about the Vaganova methodology and explain why I believe it remains relevant in contemporary ballet teaching. Before discussing its contemporary relevance, it's important to briefly explain what the Vaganova methodology is. It was developed in Russia in the first half of the 20th century by Agrippina Vaganova, who everybody who is in ballet world known as a legend of ballet world, we can say so. It represent a systematically structured system of classical ballet training. Its main characteristic is gradual progression, step-by-step development of technique, coordination, and artistic expression. The system is based on a strong center, clean alignment, and the integration of the whole body. In Slovenia, classical ballet education has historically been strongly connected to the Russian ballet tradition. Analyses confirm continuous influence of Eastern European, especially Russian pedagogy. As a part of my research, I contacted both national conservatorias. We have two, one in Ljubljana, one in Maribor, to ask them which methodology they apply at educating their students. From the Conservatory of Music and Ballet Maribor, I received official confirmation that the Vaganova is used as main pedagogical framework. But from the Conservatory in Ljubljana, I did not receive a clearly definite methodological statement. Research by Anna Germ also indicates that in Slovenia music schools, because we have also ballet in music schools, ballet, but on the basic level, not the higher level, professional level, like in conservatorium, that also there ballet teachers often use different methodological approaches in practice. Based on this, we can understand that the Vaganova methodology is present in Slovenia as an important professional reference, but its practical application is not always there. This raises the research question: can Vaganova, clearly structured didactic system, provide a stable and safe foundation for contemporary ballet education in Slovenia? In this research, I set four main aims. First, to analyze the methodological foundation of the Vaganova system in today's pedagogical context. Second, to examine its relevance in contemporary ballet education. Third, to explore how it can be meaningfully integrated with modern pedagogical and psychological approaches. And finally, to highlight the importance of structured and systematic ballet teaching in Slovenia. Today, ballet can be taught in different environments, public school, private school, or smaller institution. But professional goals should stay the same, gradual, safe, and structured technical development. Teaching by methodology brings the technical foundation, but this is not enough. The role of the teacher is crucial here. How he or she understands contemporary pedagogy in practice and applies it to the Vaganova system. Today, teaching requires not only technical knowledge, but also pedagogical and psychological awareness and responsibility. So teachers must update their knowledge all the time. So in my research, I focused on 3 important principles. I believe they are very important. Differentiation, midway model, and safe dance practice. I believe that they can strongly support the structure of Vaganova methodology, not only today, and help students with progression in their ballet technique and understanding of art. So, differentiation means that all students work toward the same technical goal, but not in the same way. Some need more time, some need more explanation, and some need physical adjustments. The structure of the method remains the same, but the way we guide each student is different. This allows progress without compromising safety or quality. Safe practice is essential in ballet education. Classical ballet requires students to transform their natural functioning of the body into turned out, we call it underworld system, which of course is not natural for the human body. Because of this, correct guidance from the teacher is crucial. Without proper supervision, there is a risk of getting injuries. At the same time, instructors also here cannot be identical for everyone. They must be adapted to physical predisposition and abilities of students. So safe practice therefore means respecting individual limits while gradually building strength, control, and alignment. Sorry, I have to also talk about midway model. Was developed by Smith-Othard as an integrated pedagogical approach. It connects a strictly technique-focused professional model on one side and an educational model based on Laban's idea of dance, a tool for personal and creative development on the other side. The midway model, what is very important, it connects technical training with artistic, aesthetic, and cultural education. In this way, dance learning is approached in more holistic way. It creates a balance between discipline and creativity. In my teaching practice, the midway model means basically that students do not learn only technical curriculum. They also work on some classical variations adapted to their level, of course. They participate in group choreographies where they partly create the movement material. Of course, mostly I do the choreographies, but I ask them how they feel more comfortable. I'm asking them for their opinions so they get this kind of feeling that they are also a part of this process. I take them to ballet performances to show them what art really is, results, ballet on stage, and they learn to appreciate final product. We also go to festivals and ballet competitions where they meet other dancers and also different dance styles. This helps them understand where they stand and how they can still grow. They are getting much stronger in managing stage fright, developing confidence, and building a sense of self-worth. I often record them on video so they can observe themselves reflect on their movement, mistakes, and improvements. It's also very good so that they can practice at home by these videos. This research is a qualitative case study based on real teaching practice. 1.5 year observation was carried out within my own ballet school. I collected the data through observation, teaching notes, video analysis, and questionnaires sent to parents and pupils. Children are old between 8 and 16 years. They came to me with different knowledge and different physical predispositions, but we managed to work in the same class using contemporary approaches, pedagogical approaches, what I talked about before. So basically, my teaching approach is that I kept the structure of Vaganova class during teaching. But within this structure, I adjust the exercises to individual students and increase the difficulty step by step as much this is, of course, possible. With that approach, we managed to make progress at all pupils at different levels. So technically, all students, when I also myself, because when I watch them every day, I don't notice so much progress. But when I'm getting back to see the videos when we started, and every few months, it's really I can see also me a big development. We managed to improve in body alignment, strength stability, coordination, movement precision, and improved turnout. In terms of motivation, I observed also increased engagement, regular attendance. They almost never miss a class. Only when it's really they get ill or they have something very important, and they're always sad and wishing coming back as soon as possible. They all wish to participate at dance festivals and ballet competition. They don't take it as a threat and they want to win and be so sad when they don't win. I tried to prepare them, of course, before that we are working to get more knowledge, to improve and everything, so they somehow don't get so sad when they don't get first prizes always. But we all know that at the end, all children want to be first somehow. But it also depends on the teacher how you can prepare them to get into these things. After finishing school last year, they all wanted to continue with ballet. Nobody from them wanted to stop dancing. Girls during this time showed not only technical progress, but also growing responsibility and commitment. I got quite positive feedbacks from parents. Many of them noticed positive changes, especially with their teenagers, where they have some problems. They became, how teenagers can be. They didn't want to talk with them. They didn't want to learn and had problems with communication. But after starting training with my school regularly and really attending it every day. I mean, we had 3 to 4 times a week. They change it and they get much better also at home with the work for school and with communication with their parents. There were 2 students who really didn't have ideal predisposition for classical ballet. Quite, I don't want to say bad, but really not ideal, let's be like this. However, they followed training seriously, participated in performances, and completed the program with excellent results at the exam. We do always exam at the end of the year. After finishing the primary school, because this was my older group, they wanted to continue dancing. We had several discussions. First, I talk only with them separately, then also with the parents separately, and then at the end all together. And we came together to the conclusion that it would be more suitable for them to continue in other dance styles, such as modern, jazz, contemporary, something what it would make them happy. Today, they feel confident and successful in those fields. And their ballet technique is strong enough to support their new technique and also giving them the option to return to ballet class maybe as a technique next to their new technique, because we know with many techniques people do also ballet next to it, or maybe later, for example, in adult ballet programs. This become very popular now, and I think it's very useful, and their love to ballet can still be in these classes. They can let it go out. This shows that the methodology provided them with a solid foundation, even thought their artistic path developed in another direction. So for the end, my interpretation and let's say conclusion would be the Vaganova methodology functions as a structured didactic framework. Its clear progression enables safe and sustainable technical development. It is compatible with contemporary pedagogical approaches, such as differentiation, safe practice, and midway model. Its effectiveness depends on the competence of and awareness of the teacher. In the Slovenian context, such methodological continuity can provide a stable and reliable foundation for long-term dancer development. So this is from me. Thank you for listening. I hope I was understandable.
Thank you, Claudia. Thank you, Claudia. It is very important to use contemporary knowledge in the film of pedagogy and didactics when implementing those traditional methodologies such as Vaganova. So this is a very useful topic, not only for ballet dancers, but also for contemporary dancers. So since you don't have much time, I will proceed with the next speaker, which is somehow connected to this topic, because he will be speaking about this is Daryl Toulon, lecturer from Anton Bruckner University in Austria, and he will be speaking about applied anatomy and ballet tandem teaching model, a proposal for contemporary dance students learning ballet. So as we see, ballet is important as a foundational technique also for contemporary dancers. So Daryl, welcome. Claudia, thank you. And Daryl, be so kind, tell us a few words about yourself and about your work, and proceed with your presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'm sure you can hear me properly. Okay, I must apologize. My Wi-Fi is not very strong, and I did prepare a presentation, but I won't do this. I'll just stay on the camera like this and speak. So, hello everybody. Thank you for the space to be able to be part of this wonderful conversation. I'm a educator, researcher, and artistic practitioner, and I have been working for the past 40 years professionally in this field. Started as a ballet dancer started my dance career learning ballet at Central School of Ballet in London. But I'm originally from a small island in the Caribbean. And this directly gives me the opportunity to connect to a conversation that I picked up earlier about flamenco and exclusivity and this thing, because I was a late beginner. I started learning ballet at the age of 19. And coming from where I came from, not fitting into this Western European ideal totally, way back in the 80s, there weren't many people of color. Actually, there were no people of color in the Royal Ballet in London. And so ballet as itself was very exclusively reserved for certain people. My mission is to expose or to introduce the basic function of the human. Because I think underneath all of our different cultures, all different nationalities, Like Alonso King says, ballet is a universal language. If it is possible to find the common denominator, which is our human body, with its biomechanics, with its functionality, and we can approach the ballet aesthetic from that way, then I think it makes the language of ballet accessible for people whose bodies are possibly not what one would automatically think as optimally designed for ballet. And so it started off with the COVID period, that during COVID, I was teaching ballet online, and there was obviously no possibility to do big, expansive movement. And I found myself really going inside with the dancers and exploring the torso, exploring the inside. To make it easier, I connected with my anatomy colleague, and we did a couple of classes online where we were both working with each other. I'm trying to get épaulement, I'm trying to get the feeling of rotation, and she's explaining this from her anatomical point of view. As soon as the COVID period was over and we were able to work together, we then did classes that I was looking at her class to see what I could take into the next class, and she was looking at my class to see what she could take into her next class. We're still working individually. The idea of tandem teaching arrived in that by accident, one day we moved, because we were short of time, directly from the anatomy class without changing the t-shirt, without leaving the room, without leaving a different space at the bar. And the dancers were completely focused. Contemporary dancers have such a wonderful somatic experiencing. They know what their body does. They know how it feels, how it relates to gravity, to the axis. And I was like, right, just stay there. Let's go. And then suddenly the class was we're moving in a completely different way, because I think the dancers did not have the chance to remove themselves from the anatomy, from the somatics class, and put on this, I don't know, is it a shield? Is it a veil? Is it an attitude that comes with when you go to do ballet? And so we started thinking, how do we do this properly? And I would like to speak now about a 2-week period where we were both at the Ljubljana studios, working with all grades, and this was over a period of 2 weeks. And this is the beginning of the tandem teaching. The difference to point out here is that team teaching, one would assume there is a team of various teachers who are all working with the students. In tandem, it's like two people on the one bike. So we are both in the class at the same time. She contributes, I contribute. This, of course, needs a lot of understanding. It needs a transdisciplinary thinking. I will have to be open to understand my ballet terminology, my feeling for ballet in a different way, as she will be with her anatomy. But the class starts off as being an anatomy class led by the anatomy teacher, where the ballet teacher is present, is active, is involved, is also doing the experiencing. And as soon as I recognize certain things, which might be the beginning of a 4th position, shall we say, or a 5th position, or the beginning of a développé which is starting, coming out from an anatomy exercise, I'm like, right, okay, how can we just like change the aesthetic, change the focus of how we're doing it, but still keep feeling and experiencing the body as this fantastic human machine that we are. And so we're contributing one to the other in the class. We approached the students and offered them the choice of having the break between ballet and anatomy and ballet after the bar. So we're going to go directly from anatomy into the bar, then have the break, and then go into the center and carry on. And the students invariably all said, let's do no break. So they were completely open to the idea of let's do this incredible experiment. And so we did. The first week was anatomy going into ballet, and the second day was simply ballet. I would like to quote William Forsythe, who has been challenging the ossification of thinking, he says, that is still generally associated with ballet, and he challenges dancers and audiences alike to rethink ballet as a fully modern and contemporary art form. I'm absolutely of the opinion that deep down inside of the ballet, if you remove the tiara, if you remove the tutu, if you remove this historicity that comes with it, there are some basic things that every single technique can use and or actually already does use. And in educating the students for the world now, I would like to now quote Gerd Bierster, who says it's our job as educators not just to give them stuff, but to give them things so that when they go out into the world, they can make the right decisions. This belongs to his world-centered education philosophy. And so we have now what we call the Applied Anatomy and Ballet Tandem Teaching Model, developed by Randy Randolph Liebenau and Daryl Toulon, and it subscribes to all of the aforementioned ideas, as well as drawing on our own personal and professional life journeys as performers and pedagogues. Ours is a mutual interest in connecting both the disciplines of anatomy and ballet by systematically disentangling and reorganizing over the course of a teaching module. This approach aims to dismantle this ossification of thinking that can otherwise be associated with teaching and learning ballet, and it can open up a non-romantic freeway for information flow that is just using body language, embodied experience, and all of the various techniques that a contemporary dance student is exposed to. So we're starting with anatomy, and we're trying to morph very slowly into the language, into the aesthetic for ballet. The students receive information from Randy in terms of theoretical, there are possibly PowerPoints, and then they work using various massage techniques to identify muscle, fascia, skeletal features, and they're given very precise, detailed instructions. And so they are being the active initiators in themselves for this experiential awareness of the body's anatomy. I'm intervening every now and again, and through this gradual morphing, I'm guiding the students to apply this newly felt bodily sensed information towards what we can call and what we can use in the ballet classwork. The transition from anatomy to ballet and from ballet back to anatomy is very gentle, but it is very precise and it's very guided. Randy and I are both trying to find the same vocabulary to create a common way of understanding what those things are. In the second week, Randy was not present, and so I was able to take the full spans of the ballet class, and going along the same way, starting with some very basic anatomical experiencing waking ups, and then going into the full class. And I'm speaking of the whole thing: plié in all positions, slow battement tendu, grand droite main jetée, rond de jambe with port de bras, fondu in all directions, leg stretches, pirouettes, temps relevé on the bar, grand battement. Then we go into the center. It's the classic ballet class according to Vaganova, as we just heard recently here. And of course, I do support also the universality of the structure of the Vaganova class, which has a very organic build-up. The problem that I have noticed with myself having been a ballet director for 15
Daryl, we are losing you.
It is as wide as that. In the time when I was in the Opera House in Graz, there were many dancers coming through. Is that some dancers do a very good warm-up, and as the class goes on, due to tiredness, due to whatever.
You're freezing. Daryl, we are losing you.
Graphic challenge, at the same time keeping all of the principles of the anatomy present. The students were assessed through over the whole 2-week period, gentle assessment, constant assessment. They were also given written assignments where they had to then put into words what they were experiencing, and this was done with the use of very short video sequences that they had to analyze. And then there were the reflection. For example, I wanted to know, well, we wanted to know, what is your biggest takeaway from anatomy? Where did you connect with in the ballet class? How can you integrate fascia into your understanding of how you go into a ballet shape? What has been your biggest response from the week? Now, we think we get it right, but do we actually? And I would like to take just a couple of minutes to share some of the collective responses from the students. For example, what does it mean to dance? The understanding of how muscles work separately and together, how they connect to each other, work together, and help each other in performing particular precise movements. It's not enough to know it should look right. You have to know how it should feel to do movements properly. If we understand, what do you understand by muscle memory? Someone says when we learn something the correct way, the muscles remember it and will do it correctly. Someone adds, I think the muscles must have something like a memory card inside. And when we train the movement and use a particular muscle, the idea of movement stays in it, and we are able to come back and use it whatever we want. I love the idea of a muscle, of a memory card, because that is a jargon that the current generation know exactly what it means. My memory card is not big enough. I need to find more space for it. We also used various examples. For example, Olympic swimmers who take off. They get to the end of the diving board and they use their metatarsals in the most efficient way to get the most incredible jumps going. So we looked at that and tried to understand, is there something we can learn from this? Just on the body physics. What is this? How does this help me to do my releve? And here are some reflections. The dancer uses his toes to stay balanced in the air on the board, and in dance, our axis is our center of balance. Keeping our feet and toes engaged helps us to stay balanced whether we're standing or moving. It's important for turns. Someone else adds, it helps me to find my axis, but also to get a higher leg in Grand Batma or high jumps. And someone comes up with, I have the picture of the Olympic diver in my head every time we are doing the releves, and it really helps me to think about the oppositions that's created going up. I could read you many more positive comments from the students, but maybe it would be good to get one thing in where the question is, was there a moment of frustration, confusion? And the answer is yes, I have felt frustration when I was really tired or when I couldn't do something. But as the days went by, I was able to fully internalize the information into my body and I started to feel better. Another contributes, I was frustrated at the beginning because I needed some time to get awareness of muscles that I couldn't feel working at the beginning. The third one adds, the whole first week in the anatomy classes, I was able to feel and understand, but when we started with the ballet, I lost the feeling of everything. And then the question, was there a moment of enlightenment where you felt it was coming together? I propose. In one class, I remember turning without being frustrated with it and standing on my leg. It was the realization of where my axis actually is. And like I said with the diver's clip, I let myself be more in front and it worked. It was a truly calming sensation. Someone adds, in the second week, on Wednesday to be precise, it was like feeling of my axis, feeling of growing up, 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 just clicked. I could see it in the pirouettes, which were very easy to turn, and I managed to do very consistent triple and quadruple turns. When we were working on the arabesque balances at the bar, I was completely on my leg, and I got the feeling I could balance forever. I'm grateful for both you and Randy's energy and for the trust you both had in us and in our progress. I find it very motivating, and I would thank you for it. So generally, at the end, I think we can conclude that the experiencing of having the two sides of looking at this material was beneficial, that the students did experience a change in their body and a different understanding of what those ballet exercises could be. In all, I think a positive experience and a good show for this tandem teaching model.
Thank you, Daryl, for your wonderful presentation and your nice ideas. As I said, it's very important to gain new knowledge in pedagogy, in didactics, to borrow maybe from sports, from kinesiology, also some ideas what engram is, what all those things are, and combine this with our old methodologies that really need new way of implementing. Well, now we are almost at the end of our section. So for the end, we have a presentation of scientific research. Sylvia Mettel from Institute of Applied Sciences Motor Rehabilitation Department will present neuromuscular control of postural and core stability in students of dance theater acting. So, hello, Sylvia, welcome. Be so kind and present yourself and your work. Thank you.
Can you see my presentation?
Yes, we can hear and we can see your presentation. Thank you very much.
So, I need to say that I'm not a dancer. I am the expert of physiotherapy. But I am working with actors and dancers as a physiotherapist. I treat them. So it was the idea to make the research to check what are the weak segments, weak elements of their body that cause that they got injuries. So we make agreement, my University of Physical Culture with the National Academy of Theatre Arts in Krakow. We signed agreement to make examination of the actors who at the same time are actors of dance theater. So I think this kind of job is quite complicated because considering, for example, the core stability, at the same time, they need to be quite, how to say, fixed with the stability to be dancers. And on the other side, they need to be very flexible with their diaphragms to speak in a very efficient way. So this project was prepared by people from my University of Physical Culture. I was the director of this, and also from the National Academy of Theatre Arts, and one of the co-authors is from the University, AGH University in Krakow. Oh, is it not working? Oh. As it was already said, so many words about dance. For example, Anna said, nice phrase, that dance is an individual artistic expression. So for me, as a physiotherapist, of course, it's visual, aesthetic, and emotional kinds of movement, but I also treat it as a kind of sport discipline. So I also making the analysis of the biomechanical aspect of the performed movement. But what is neuromuscular control? To be very short, it is needed to be said that it's crucial for both aesthetic expression and efficient movement of the dance theater actors. So coming to the main part, what was the aim of the study? It was done to assess the neuromuscular control of the students of dance theater faculty of at the National Academy of Theatre Arts. And this department is situated not in Krakow, which is the main department, but in Bytom. It is in the Silesian district in Poland. So here on this picture, you can see the two of the co-authors. They used to be my students. Now they graduated from physiotherapy, but they help with conducting this research, Katarina and Laura. So in this study, we had 52 volunteers from Stanisław Wyspiański Academy of Theatre Arts in Krakow, Faculty of Acting, specializing in dance theatre acting. So the age of them ranged from 90 to 29, and the middle age was 22,8. So we included 39 women and 13 men. But unfortunately, we needed to exclude 2 individuals because they had some contraindication to perform a balance test because they had lower limb injury within the past 6 months. So the first method that we use three methods. We use many methods, but I will discuss three. It was the Y balance test. So in this picture, you can see the device. So it looks like the letter Y. So the participant is first got the visual information how to perform this, then is able to perform 3 test trials, and then practice 6 trials in 3 direction. As you can see in this photo, in anterior direction, in the posterior lateral and posterior medial direction. And what we also need to measure for this test is also the length of the leg, because then the results needed to be shown with the respect of the body height. The other method we used was the protocol by McGill. McGill procedure is to assess the core stability. So we used 4 tests. So one of these tests was to assess the trunk extensors. So it was in this prone position. The second test in sagittal plane was to assess the trunk flexors. And the 2 last tests were performed on the side. It was side plank on the right side and on the left side. Generally, in this McGill procedure, we want to assess the endurance of the muscles. So how long the person can keep this position. And McGill established the norms for adult and healthy person. And these norms were established in 1999. The last test I'm going to talk about is what was the hand strength. We use Jan Malplace hand dynamometer to assess this. And for this trial, participants were seated with the shoulder adducted, elbow flexed at 90 degrees, forearm in neutral position. And the participants were asked to squeeze the dynamometer with maximum effort for 3-5 seconds. And 3 trials were performed for each hand with short rest intervals, and the highest values in kilogram was recorded as the hand grip strength. And we assessed this separately for dominant and non-dominant heart. And I have a very short part about the results, 5 slides about this. So what we can tell about the Y balance test. So we assessed 50 persons, so we divide them into women and men, and we also showed the result for the whole sample. So we used overall COMSITE. So what is COMSITE score? It's a sum of the greatest reach in each direction. So there are 3 directions: anterior, posterior medial, and posterior lateral. So we use the sum. Then we need to divide this into the 3 times the leg length and multiple by 100. And there is this result in percentages. So in this aspect of Y balance test, women were better than the men. But when we make analysis of the direction, so definitely the anterior reach, so when they reach the leg forward, it was the worst range of motion when we take analysis of this 3 direction. Can you see? So in direction for women, it's 58, comparing, for example, posterior medial, which is almost double this size. Yeah. So the anterior reach is, how to say, it's giving us this information that we need to implement the exercise, which improve the stability, the dynamic stability into forward direction. And the other aspect of Y balance test is the asymmetry score. So asymmetry score is also assessed in anterior, posterior medial, and posterior lateral direction. And the higher the value, the worse. And overall, when we have a look at the sample, overall, participants exhibited larger differences, larger asymmetry in reach distances in the posterior medial and posterior lateral direction than in the anterior direction. So asymmetry between keeping the balance of the left leg and on the right leg. When we consider the female and man, so in female participant, greater asymmetry was observed between the average reach distances of the right and left lower limbs compared to male. And when we have a look at each scores of the whole group of participants, the interlip differences range from 3,5 to 4,9 centimeter. Okay, and the next test was McGill protocol. So here you can see the mean results for the women, for the men, and for the whole sample for the endurance of extensors muscle, flexor muscles, for side plank on the right side, and side plank of the left on the left side. And the highest level of core stabilization was observed in the test assessing isometric trunk endurance in sagittal plane for trunk extensors and for trunk flexors. So here you can see the biggest score. So the bigger score, the better. Yeah. And for side plank on the right side, on the left side, it was less. And comparing men and women, women achieved lower values than men in 3 of the tests, except for the trunk extensor endurance test. Okay, and we also make the analysis comparing the results of the students to the norms. The norms were established by McGill for healthy adults. And it is sorry, but I need to say that almost all participants, 98% of the group did not achieve the norm for the extensors. Yes, for the flexors it was 88, and for side plank it was 61 and 69. So with norms, it was far more better for plank, and comparing men and women. So the number of women with norms, the best option for them was side plank on the right side, and for men. It was also the right side plank. Okay, and hand strength, yes, which is also a very important factor, not only for young people, for students, and definitely it's a factor with factor showing how long we will live. So the better hand strength we have, the longer we should live. So mean dominant and non-dominant hand strength measure with dynamometer were 27,37 and 26,45. And when we compare this to the normative values, it states that normative values were met by 45 percentages of the group and 48 percentages of the group. So less than half of the examined group achieved the norm. So as a summary and then conclusion, what are the implications to run the motor control training for the dance theater actors, future master of art? Dynamic balance in anterior direction of the Y balance test was significantly lower compared to posterior and posterior lateral and posterior medial direction. That's why we should train more the balance into sagittal plane in front. Assessment of trunk core stability in the prospective Master of Fine Arts students revealed that almost all participants exhibited isometric endurance values of the trunk extensors and flexors below the normative standards. So we need to prepare training for the endurance of these muscles. Maybe it's like this, that they are very flexible, but they are lack of static isometric endurance. Additionally, in this test of trunk core stability, in the test of lateral core endurance, so I mean plank on the left side and plank on the right side, fewer than 40% of students achieved normative values. And now analyzing the hand strength, fewer than 50% of examined students met normative values for hand strength for dominant and non-dominant hand. So as a conclusion, what we can recommend from the study at university programs of future dance theater actors, it is advisable to introduce more effective training in dynamic balance, central stabilization, and hand strength, supporting performance quality and reducing the risk of injuries. Here is the contact to me, and here is the number of the project, and we got some financial support from the Project Regional Initiative for Perfection. Yes, so that is all about my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this presentation on your scientific quantitative research. It really adds some quality to our conference. It's very important that we include such scientific research projects, that we don't stick just to our quality research and artistic field, because as you are aware, dance is something that is really connected with kinesiology and all those factors that include dance medicine and research such as yours. We are very aware that today cross-training is something that is very important to add some strength to the areas that are maybe undertrained in some of the our techniques. So this was really interesting, and thank you very much, Silvia Mettel, for your contribution. Now I have to wrap it up. It's 1:05. So thank everyone for your participation and for your contribution. Is there any final comment or question? No? Okay. Thank you very much, and hopefully see you in 2 years. Thank you very much. Goodbye, everyone.
See you.